Okay, hello everybody, this is Joey, and I'm going to be demonstrating the Ubuntu desktop operating system version 17.04. The reason I'm doing this is because 10 years ago, one of my first YouTube videos is a walkthrough demonstration of Ubuntu 7.04, and I got 200,000 views on that, so I'm hoping that I can get another one of those, uh, which is kind of funny. Uh, I, I think the days of just random people getting, a lot of views on a video are long gone on YouTube. Anyway, so this is the Ubuntu desktop operating system. As you can see, I'm running it in VirtualBox, which is on top of a Windows machine. Um, because quite frankly, Linux on the desktop is it's pretty much over. I don't think that anyone seriously uses Linux on the desktop. So um, I don't know, maybe some people at Google are using it. I think Chrome OS is based off Linux. Android is based off Linux. But these are uh, as far as like consumers using knowingly using a Linux-based desktop operating system that they installed themselves. I think the percentage of people doing that's very, very small, to the point that um, Ubuntu as a company is, or as a product, is created by a company called Canonical, and that company has seen fit to lay off um, several of their developers working on their desktop and mobile uh, pieces of the product. So, and those pieces will be going away. In fact, this desktop view here is called Unity, and uh, Unity is equivalent to like GNOME or KDE, and it was created when GNOME 3 was launched because GNOME 3 was terrible when it was launched. But now uh, it's fairly good, and it's what a lot of distributions use as their default. But Unity is specific to Ubuntu. Uh, so as a part of Canonical getting away from Ubuntu desktop and Ubuntu mobile, they're doing away with this Unity desktop, and they're going to just use GNOME, which is probably what they should have done in the first place instead of developing their own. Anyway, this is what it is right now. So you'll notice you have a top bar up here, kind of like you do with a Mac, and I will say this light gray area up here at the top, almost white area, this is part of VirtualBox, and this little piece down here um, is also part of VirtualBox. So just this, starting at this dark bar going down through this colored area. One thing I will note is that Ship Brown at Ubuntu is out. It's now all about pumpkin orange and purple. So that was one of the funny things about Ubuntu in the beginning, was they had like the shit brown color theme for their operating system. So you've got several things here. You've got the ability to change some settings up here. You can look at a calendar, your time and date. You can oh, let's see what that tells us. Oh, seems about right. this right here, it's interesting that the processor is right, and I devoted 2 cores to this VM, so that's interesting. I gave it 4 GB in memory, which is pretty accurate. I gave it 10 gigs of disk space. I didn't recognize my video card, but I wouldn't expect it to really. I think it's emulating that for the most part. And I will say that this performance is pretty good. I was having some trouble with it. I had turned on 3D acceleration, so I turned that off in VirtualBox, and I had also tried to install this in Hyper-V, and Hyper-V does not like it at all. I think Hyper-V is basically just for Windows at this point. Some people use it, and I'm sure if you're a pro, you can get, but for a home gamer, you're not gonna use Hyper-V. It's too hard to use, and performance is terrible. One thing I will note about this menu here is when you click, there's no restart button, like if you need to restart the machine. I guess they're assuming you won't ever restart it, which I think is not a great assumption. To restart, you have to click shut down, and then you click restart over here. There might be a way to change that, but out of the box, this is a default straight install, and it's not set that way originally. So the way you interact with the computer is through this menu. This is kind of like your start menu. You can find your programs. Here's a text editor. This is actually a pretty good text editor. Kind of hard to tell from here, but it's gedit. It's pretty good. Typically, the way you would interact with this is you would type in the application you want to look up. So, like if I want to do Firefox web browser, I would just look up Firefox, and it would launch Firefox for me. This way, you're not going back and forth with the mouse. And you can actually click that, and there's some things here, and this hotbar over here, you can kind of put your most used programs. This is the default right here. These ones that are on here right now. You can also look for files, and you can look for videos and music and pictures and things like that using this thing. And also, if you hit the Windows key on your keyboard, or if you're on a Mac, I think it's the Command key, then that makes that menu pop up. So that's pretty cool. Here's your file manager. One thing I think kind of hurts Linux is that there's no good integration with Google Drive, Dropbox, things like that. I think Dropbox does have Linux integration, but it's definitely not nearly as good as what's on Windows or Mac. So I use Google Drive and OneDrive, neither of which are supported on the Linux platform. So it's kind of funny that these companies don't realize that interoperability is what gets you users. You can log in, you can get on any computer and use Google's services just about. And I think, like Microsoft, they don't have good adoption of their internet browser, Edge, their new one, because you can't use it on Windows 7. You can only use it on Windows 10 or more. You can't, there's no Mac version, there's no Linux version, all that kind of stuff. So I think Google wins a lot because you can You can download Chrome for Mac, you can download Chrome for Windows, you can download Chrome for Linux even. So I think interoperability is a key strategy that, or key to a strategy that will get you a lot of users. I am a little disappointed that Google Drive doesn't have a Linux client, but I wouldn't be surprised if internally Google has a client for, and they may now have one. I don't know. It's been a little while since I've researched it, but I think a lot of these companies don't aim at Linux desktop because there's very, very, very few users. Firefox, speaking of browsers, is the default web browser. One of the things you'll notice here is that this top bar is where you do this stuff, where you have your menus, and then at some point this integrates when you go full screen with it. These controls up here, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think a lot of people are big fans of that. So I'm also not a big fan of Firefox. I typically use Chrome. I think Firefox, it's a decent browser, but I think Chrome beats it in a lot of ways, especially with integration into the Google ecosystem, which is, I use a lot of Google products, although not exclusively. For your Office stuff, you've got the LibreOffice package. Here's like a word processor. Here's a spreadsheet. I think maybe this is, I'm not even sure that I would include this in a default install. I think a lot of people have switched over to using products like Office 365 and Google Docs for this sort of thing. Unless you're running a business, I think, and need the power of a full desktop client, I think that the online clients are typically where people are going for word processing and spreadsheets and presentations and things like that. And I think that, you know, desktop office productivity suites are gonna be going away pretty soon. This little program here is a way for you to install software. I've never personally used it because there's no reason to use it. I just use the command line to install software that I want. I think if you were unfamiliar with Linux, that you could use this to find software that you wanted to use that would help you do whatever you're trying to do. But just scrolling down through here, there's a lot of junk in here too. So I'm not sure I'd want to use some of this stuff. Interesting. Sombrero browser. Never heard of that one. This is a bit of a controversial icon. This is for Amazon integration, and I guess it pops up here in its own little browser. Yeah. And I think that if you search in here, there are certain scenarios where you could search for things maybe, and it doesn't look like it. I know originally you would get Amazon search results as well, but maybe you have to turn that on, or I'm not sure. Here's your system settings. This is pretty standard stuff. You can go in here and you can change to another background. And when you do that, you'll see, let's pick a different one. Here we go. Pick this one. You'll see that there's like a little translucency. If you're using the 3D accelerated version, this is like a nice transparent, and there's a lot of neat transparent effects, eye candy type stuff. What else? Here you go. You can look through all these sources here, and that's how you filter your search. What else can I say about this operating system? I will say that I don't use Ubuntu even when I do use a Linux OS. I tend to use either Fedora or CentOS. Those are both backed by Red Hat, which is an American Linux company. And I think Red Hat was one of the first commercially available Linux distributions. And I just feel like that the Red Hat products are a lot better than this. They follow more of the Unix standards and more of the Linux community standards. Ubuntu really got off on their own and started doing things kind of their own way. And part of that's a little bit of Debian, just the way, way Debian does things, and then part of that's, but a lot of it is the way Ubuntu and Canonical as a company did things. And so I'm more of a standards type person. I like uh, uh, if you're going to have a product that people are going to use, then you have to have standards so that people will know what to expect and know how to use it. And I feel like Fedora and CentOS fit those a lot better than Ubuntu does. So, and quite frankly, they're a little bit more stable too. So, um, but anyway, so that's my story. And here's my video celebrating 10 years of, or the 10th anniversary of one of my first YouTube videos, and the most views I'll ever get on a YouTube video. So, if you want to try Ubuntu, you're more than welcome to go out there and try it. You may love it. It's definitely quick and easy to set up, and if you're very interested in learning the Unix or Linux command line, it's a great distribution to start with. And if you're interested in getting away from Mac OS or getting away from Windows, it's also a great alternative. Not the one I would typically recommend. Like I said, I would recommend Fedora probably first, but it's definitely something that you can look into. Anyway, that's all I have for now, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.